Okay, let's get this out of the way. Name is simply a joke. Alright, it's done. So, in this video, we are going to be talking about the stack overflow error. So, the stack overflow error is an error produced by the Java language that's printed to the console whenever we go over the stack limit. Now, what is the stack limit? Well, I'll show you. Let's visualize it using Minecraft, right? Stack limit is let's say it's represented by this bedrock. So we have the stack limit is currently 1 bedrock, now 2 bedrock, now it's 3 bedrock. So our stack limit is 3 bedrock, right? And let's say the bedrock represents classes, or how about let's say it represents classes, alright? So each bedrock, 1, 2, 3, represents one class. So we have the stack limit is 3 classes. Now, what stack overflow error is when you go above this stack limit. So, let's say we have our main method. It starts in the gold ore right here. Now, the stack overflow error happens when we start the gold ore, and from the gold ore we invoke or we call the iron ore. Let's say that each ore represents a different class. So from the gold ore we call the iron ore, and then from the iron ore we call the coal ore. So now we've reached the stack limit. You can see right here. We've called 3 methods. I mean 3 classes, and our limit is 3 classes. And then we call lapis, just like as a fuck you, because we don't care about the stack limit. But we call 4 classes, and our limit is 3 classes. That's the stack overflow error. That's literally it. Just when you've gone above the limit, and all you really usually the only times when you run into this error, it's because of one reason: you have looped it. Other than that, it rarely happens, especially for beginners. So we have 4 ores all stacked up onto one. Let's call this a thread. 1 thread stacked up past the stack limit. How do we solve this? Well, let's just reduce the stack and make 2 stacks. There we go, we're done. Now, instead of calling the gold ore and calling the iron ore, and then from the iron ore we call the coal, which calls the lapis. Now from the gold ore we call the iron, and that's where that ends. And then from the gold ore we also call the coal ore and the lapis. And now you can see that we've called the same amount of classes, but it stayed below the class stack limit, or the stack limit. That's essentially what it is and how to solve it. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like in code. And actually, before I do that, I want to show you one more thing. So let's say our stack limit is 3. And this is usually, remember how I said it'll almost always happen because you've looped something. This is what I mean by looping. You've called the gold ore. You've called the iron ore. The iron ore is calling the cold ore. And then let's say that's a stack limit. You don't have this pesky 4th class, and you're like, alright, that should be fine. But then from this coal ore we call the gold ore again, and then it's just infinitely stacking and stacking and stacking until it runs out of memory and gives you that pesky error. So now that we've established that, let's see what that looks like in action. So this is an example of a class that does work. We run it, it'll do absolutely nothing, and I'll show you what it does. Okay, I can't talk. I'll show you what it actually does. So stack 1 is the main class, which has the main method, and the first line of code is right here, and it's calling this start stack method, which is right here. So it's going from here to here. It's calling this, right? And then from here, it's creating a new stack object, but let's ignore the actual code. Let's look at what it's actually doing. So we're in the main method, we call this method, and then from this method we go into the separate class and we call this method, and from this method we go into this method. right? Now, that's fine. It is going from this method to this method to this method. Stack 1 to stack 2 to stack 3. That's fine. But I'm dying. But what usually happens in the Stack Overflow is, for some reason, we are stupid enough as humans to fucking call stack 1 again, and let's just call it statically, static.startStack, and we start the stack again. Now this is looping. So actually, before I show you the error, let me show you, whoops, let me show you, that this method is being called. So let's run it. And it prints out high. That's because we're in the stack 1, and then we call the stack 2, and then we call stack 3, and it prints out high. But in the Stack Overflow, we go from 1, 2, 3, and then back to 1, and then it constantly goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, infinitely until you run out of memory, or your limit. And you'll see in the error, that's exactly what happens. We get this error called Stack Overflow, and you'll see that it's constantly repeating these same methods. Now, why the fuck is it doing that? Well, it is because we are looping it. We're going from stack 1 to stack 2 to stack 3. And as I said before in my Minecraft, all we want to do is take down that stack and make it 2 stacks, or reorganize it, essentially. So we'll do that, and then we'll take our lapis, and we'll call it like this. So instead of doing this, simply do this. And now you'll see it's above the stack limit. So that's essentially what the Stack Overflow thing is. Yeah, that's it. So, thanks for watching. I hope this helped you. I hope this gave you a little light to my day with my retarded sarcasm and bad humor. My mom wants to kill me, and yeah, she thinks I have really bad humor. That's why I said that. That was a bad joke. Alright, bye.